This is War for the Spirit. Video today about spiritual markings. Spiritually, you mark yourself spiritually when you touch certain things. Certain things that you dabble in gives a stronger attraction to certain spirits to be able to, affect your life, affect your observation, the things that you see, and many other things. So many different facets and aspects to what it is that you observe in the world is based on the things that you touch and deal with. If you touch and deal, this is how you will create a strong delusion in your life, because you'll have your hands in on something, and because you're in on something, that particular spirit has the ability to continue to navigate your thinking in that direction, or to have a certain level of control in the environment around you. So you'll constantly see certain things and shape a bubble around your understanding and your comprehension based on the things that you touch. As an example, you may be in any facet of life. It really doesn't matter. Every different facet of life creates this bubble around what you see and understand. This is why people have such vastly different viewpoints, and a lot of time it's based on the spirits that they dabble in. They dabble in a particular spirit, and that spirit helps to create the bubble of understanding that they have. So they'll see things in that particular way, and then every time an opportunity for that thing to surface, it does surface, and they recognize it. So if I said let's take a generic viewpoint that everything is life is good. Life is good. But the truth is, life is what you would like it to be. So life is good and life is bad. There's roses, and somewhere adjacent to those roses are dookie. Now, there's some people that they see a scene, they barely notice the dookie. They always notice the roses. It's some people that always notice the dookie, barely notice the roses. And from that position, you construct your reality. And based on the spirits that you're touching, whatever thing that you may be touching, and it's also about your parents, what devices your parents were involved in, because that gives you a spiritual marking as well, based on whatever your parents' authority was given over to, because you are a portion of the parents' authority. So they have authority over you from God. So because of that, when they gave themselves over to you, they also gave their children over you. There's no way to give yourself over to a particular spirit or a demon without also inviting that spirit or demon to your children. Now, each of us have our own individual ability and will to fight against the demon or to work with that same demon. But that is a marking that will be placed on you based on your parents and also what you dabble in. And the things that you dabble in, you'll find tolerance and acceptance for. You're not going to touch something and think it's not good to touch it. You'll find justifications to touch it. And you'll find a harshness in others who touch things that you do not touch. But it is best for us to stay away from all things that are not in the will of God. And some things are clear that are to be avoided. And there are some things that have a level of confusion to them. But I'm sure if you counsel with God, you pray, you fast, you'll see whether or not there's a demon leading that thing to you. Or you can just cut the thing off and see how different your life changes from not dabbling in a particular thing. Because the less you dabble in any particular thing, the less that spirit will have a control or ability to use you. So you can do your own personal observations about your life. You have to be a scientist, because these spirits are in the back of the world, running the world. And without you personally doing something to liberate your own mind and the people around you, there's not going to be any help. So you must gather information. I'm making this page now so that the information that I'm attaining, I can't share it. There's so many people willed by the spirits around them that no matter how much information I get, there's no one to even share it with. So I'm hoping to reach out to the internet and find others who have these experiences as well, and we can collaborate. I'm sure, Satan going to send some people around to denounce the information. But we already know that's going to happen. So we got to get around them, start compiling this information so that we can, fight a righteous fight and have an understanding that there are many of us out here fighting the same fight. So recognize that spiritually, the things that you touch will mark you, and the things that you touch will put a stamp on what it is that you experience in your life, as well as those markings that you have for personally touching something and the marks that you get from your parents. There's also there is regional, like depending on what place you go or what particular space that you're in, some spirits are stronger or weaker. Like, I'll give you a small example. Like, you ever notice that when you drink at home, you never as fucked up as you is when you at the bar? Because there's like, in those certain areas, in that particular area, there's a agreement with that spirit. So for whatever, and that's not just with alcohol, that's just the example. Like anything, like a gangster feel very confident in the space that he, commit his crimes at. You know what I'm saying? If you go to 63rd with you fuck around, they ready to shoot a cop. Now that same person in a different place, a different region, they might have some faculties about them. Even though they might be carrying the same spirit, for some reason, the spirit is strengthened in certain places. You might be more confident at home or more confident at church about dealing with your spiritual battles, or, projecting that God is the answer to all your problems in certain spaces. And in other spaces, you might be a little weaker to do so. So recognize that certain places that it's best not to be if you in a certain spirit. Certain places that others are going to have a level of strength that they normally wouldn't have if they in certain regions and places. And be mindful of these spiritual markings, because they all around us. And the more you touch certain things that you should not be, the more those spirits have the ability to affect what's going on in your life. So let's be clear. There's several different spiritual markings that you can have. You can be spiritually marked based on the things that you are doing personally. You're touching in witchcraft, you're dabbling in lust, you're dealing in particular things that we know we shouldn't touch, that are allowing certain spirits to shape our reality. Number two is your parents have dealt with spirits that they have given themselves over to. Thus, you personally have a mark that comes from your parents that gives a spirit a particular level of indication that you are susceptible to a spirit. So either you'll be overtaken and, utilize that spirit, or you will be in conflict with that spirit. Number three, the markings that are on certain places. There are certain places that are marked with strength for certain spirits. So the ground has been affected by a particular spirit. So anybody who inhabits a particular spirit that the ground has been affected by has a strength in that area and in that region. You guys be good to God, and you let God be good to you. Please like, share, and subscribe